replay viewers. We're gonna wait for the live show folks to get on. But while we wait, what we're gonna get into is here's homestead abundance. Not just financially, not just saving money, but also earning money on the homestead. We're gonna talk about, but not just financial abundance. We're gonna talk about the emotional and health abundance of it too. But I will give you the chance. We're giving you step-by-step plans for building the foundational structures of your homestead to help make this happen. We're going to talk about a couple of the structures throughout the show today and talk about how much money they can save you and what they can grow, how much money they can earn you if you put your mind to it. So thank you for coming. Please enjoy the show. We've got some live. It looks like the live people are showing up now. So for those who tune in as a replay, I'm leaving the link for that down in the description, or you can go to homesteadbuilds.com. Let's just spend a couple of minutes. Good afternoon, Hoodlin. And Warm and Fuzzies, good afternoon. You guys should say where you're from and the last movie you watched. Tropical Homestead. I would suggest that's a good follow right there, everybody. If you're in here, and those are good people. If you guys want to know good people, that's it. So thanks for joining us, Blacks. That's make me feel a little less nervous as we go live in front of hundreds of people to put a face to some of these names. Manila from Kentucky. We got Ohio in the house. A lot of homesteaders in Ohio. I kind of feel like it's one of the most under the radar homestead states in the union, if maybe not one of the most underrated. And Kentucky, speaking of Kentucky, perhaps one of the most underrated homesteading states. It's crazy. It's crazy what you could do in Kentucky. The rolling hills, a lot like Virginia, but doesn't get quite the hype. It doesn't get quite the attention. We got somebody in Denmark. Oh, that's great. And almost 300 people here on it. You know, that's what I love about homesteading and love about you all. What is it? I'm looking at my watch to know what day it is. That's been crazy. Thursday. It's the middle of the day on Thursday. Aren't you people supposed to be working? Or you got your earbuds in and you're kind of typing away at the computer. I bet that's what's going on, isn't it? So you know what? Let's do real quick in the chat. Say what you're supposed to be doing right now instead of getting online to a live show. So tell us about what you do for a living. Oh, somebody got off today. That explains it. No, you know what's fun? I think you know you're a homesteader. There's that joke, you know you're a homesteader without saying you're a homesteader. Well, we'll have homesteading parties. Oh, it's break time for Black's family homestead. Black's tropical homestead. We'll have these parties, and we're inviting our homestead friends, our local homestead friends. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be on a Saturday or Sunday. In many ways, those days don't work because we have normal people's social obligations on those days. And all the homesteaders can get together on a Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you're dreaming about getting off the work grid, I mean, everybody's got to work. Be proud of that. Most of you have 9 to 5s, which is a great thing. You can actually grow most of your own food. Rebecca and I did it in 2016. We did 100 days of growing food, and just working an hour in the afternoon, I set out to prove and see how much you could grow. And a half a day on the weekend, anybody could do that in a 9 to 5 situation. And I mean, if you're willing to eat cucumbers and cream cheese for lunch the entire time, by the end of the growing season, you could do 75% from your own food. I mean, if you want to put some sandwich bread on your cucumbers and cream cheese, you have something other besides chicken meat, then you're going to need to supplement a little bit. But in 100 days, just starting fresh, you could grow most of your own vegetables and your chicken meat supply in just 100 days. So, full-time homesteader in the house. Okay, so how do you make it? How do you make ends meet financially? Growing with grace. So let's go ahead and get into the content. I was telling the replay viewers at the very beginning of the show, we're going to talk about homesteading and how it can help you live, not just survive, but thrive. And we're going to talk about, and you've probably heard it a million times, so we won't spend too much time on it, but we're going to talk about ways homesteading and homestead lifestyle can save you money. Okay, there definitely going to be some new ideas in there for you. But more excitingly, I mean, there's a limit to how much you can save. If you make 50,000 a year, the most you can save, you could live homeless, and the most you could save is 50,000. But on the other spectrum, as we're trying to be frugal, we should also think about not only, well, how can I save money? Well, how could I earn money? And maybe even for us busy, how could I earn money with a side hustle or efficient or ways that don't take up much of my time? Or how could I earn money with something I'm already doing? We're going to talk a lot about that. Indiana, I'm off today. Ambulance dispatcher. Okay, cool. A lot of people have jobs like that in homesteading. I noticed. They're service workers. They might work. I mean, if you're a firefighter, you could be at this fire station for 2 days, and you've put in your 48 hours, and you got the rest of the time off. A lot of people work from home. I got this guy Higgy that comes and helps us on the homestead, delivers some plant starts every once in a while, and he works from home. We got this situation big time. Estria, hubby works. I stay at home. So we're also going to talk to you about. Let's talk about Rebecca and I's story. How, guys, we thrived on just $24,000 a year when we were first starting homesteading, and we had kids at that time. And that wasn't just like, oh, poor me. No, we were living a good life. And homesteading can enable you to do that. When you don't spend a lot of money, you don't need to make a lot of money. And homesteading can help you do that. And a lot of the value that you get off homesteading isn't taxable, which is a bonus. I'm going to talk to you about the meat shaw, how you could raise your own meat at no cost to you and actually put $500 in your pocket. Sound exciting? And then I'll talk to you about how if you built our raised bed, you could almost 3x your money right away. So if you invested in one of the most expensive gardening systems, you could 3x money. So I mean, imagine if you were just able to just put it in the ground or something. I do want to tell you guys about homestead builds. We only have 40 hours left on that, and some of the things I'm going to be talking about in today's show, well, they aren't possible without coops, garden structures. A greenhouse or a raised bed or whatever you call it. And we're kickstarting our book, Homestead Builds. It's our next book, and we're making the plans available to anybody who backs that Kickstarter. And guys, I got good news. Just yesterday, the Chickshaw 5.0 plans came in, the final plans. So now we have the Chicken Tractor plans and the Chickshaw plans 5.0, and it's kind of like, why wait? We were going to be able to publish all 12, 13 of these plans until like Christmas 2024. So why make you guys wait till then? So I said, let's do a Kickstarter. Let's get people in. You could get the Chickshaw plans, the Chicken Tractor now, and then we're dripping out plans every 4 to 6 weeks, every 2 to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how detailed the plan is. You can get that at homesteadbuilds.com, link down in the description. And then we're turning our focus into then creating the book and less promo, and so it's not going to be available until we go to print, like Christmas 2024. So if you want these plans as they come out, get in now. All right, let's get into the content. Replay, misread the notes there. How did we thrive on less than 20? And I might jump around. Should I jump around? Let's move around to get you a different background. I'll try to. Beautiful one is not with me. So, cool thing about going live on your phone is I can move around. I could even. Ooh, that's cool. Sunflowers. Let's talk about how Rebecca and I did it on $24,000 a year. Oh my gosh. Rebecca and I only had one car for 20 years of our marriage. And even before that, some frugal tips here. When we went to college, don't recommend it, but we went to college, social pressure, parental pressure. We had one car. We drove to every single class together, and we split books. Guys, I don't even have this in the notes, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. When all our friends were wanting to go out and spend the money and go out to eat, we'd just rather eat at home. It's cheaper and better, but they'd want to go out to eat. Rebecca and I would split a plate, and then Dad taught me, well, you don't get the drinks. That's where they get you. They get you in the drinks. We're gonna zoom through these savings. They're not as much fun as ideas for earning. So we only had one car. and it was paid for. The cheapest car is the one you own, type of thing. We only had one cell phone, and that was a big deal when the smartphones were coming out. We shared an Instagram account. Um, can any of you guys relate to that? Put in the comments if you've lived life with just one car and one cell phone. Now, when you homestead, you can do that. What's cool about homesteading is just that lifestyle enables you to do a lot of these more, for a normal person, would be difficult to do. Like if both people worked, it would be hard. Hey, Ken Chappell in the house. I gotta say hello, Ken. I have not seen you in a while in the comments, so this is exciting to see you. Good to see you, Ken. Oh my gosh, guys, Ken is an OG follower, probably like 1,000 subs followers. So I gotta shout out those kinds of folks coming on. We only had one net. We only had one Premier net. Now you guys see us. Oh my gosh, we must have 30 or something. One net. I feel like I should make a course called One Net Chicken Stead, because we did everything with one net. We would do a compost corner with one net. Now we have a physical barrier for our compost corner where our chickens stay put. But even before we had that, I knew if chickens were going to be in one spot, they should be on deep bedding, and why not put a net around them? Sure, the chickens scratch the wood chips onto the net, but you just go around with the net and pick it up and put it back in every few days. What was cool about that is I could have the chickens in this area and they're netted in, and then I could finagle the net and say I needed to weed this part of the garden. I could open up the net to go in there and then put the chickens back and plant that garden and do it again over there. So, and then when it wasn't gardening time, I didn't need a garden prepped or compost to be made. I could move them around in the pasture. This will probably be a theme throughout this live show, is that it's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it. When you get out of this scarcity can't mentality and you get into this have to mentality, where if you've got to do it, you're going to look at the resources you have and you're going to rack your brain to discover new resources, and you're going to make it happen. And you're going to have no excuses. Like the very first chickshaw I ever built. I wanted to farm like Joel Salatin. That's who I learned farming from, is when I came into this. So many of you guys, I've met you. Many of you, I'm like your first introduction to homesteading, and I'm so honored and thrilled to be that. And so you are learning and being inspired by me, or whoever it is. Well, that for me was Joel, and back then, this wasn't really a thing. This was like 15 years ago. So books were a thing, and I read Joel's books, and it just made total sense. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to move. One of the bases for his successful model is moving the animals around. Now let's give the example of the chickens. He moves the chickens around. But he has a tractor. He has hundreds of acres, hundreds of birds, a tractor that pulls up to 2 trailers of housing for chickens. I don't have a tractor. I don't have a market farm. I don't have hundreds of acres. I want to move my chickens around. What do I do? Long story short, I caught wind of a chickshaw idea, and we had this stationary coop on our farm. It had been an old doghouse. Guys, who's out there who has turned something into a chicken coop? Meaning, did you turn a doghouse into a coop, a goat house? I've seen people turn children's playhouses into chicken coops. Put in the comment the craziest things you've converted to a chicken coop. And I wanted to move my animals, and I saw this little coop on our farm. It was about the size of a pallet, and it had a coop on it. And I said, what if I could put wheels on that? And all I had at the time was bicycle wheels. Now I do not recommend it. You'll notice in our chickshaw plans and homesteadbuilds.com that we do the Northern Tool solid tire, okay? Because the bike tire, there's no way you're going to keep it inflated. It's going to pop constantly. It's a pain in the B-U-T-T butt. And I put the bike tires on it, and I moved that thing around. And boy, it was heavy. Oh, it was heavy. But that's one thing I'm big on, and that could be a takeaway for you guys, is we want to fail a lot, but we want to fail small. So if I was going to have this harebrained idea that I should I should move my chickens around in a coop, is it going to work for me? Well, let's try it with this existing building I have, with these jerry-rigged tires I have, and see if it works. And if it does work, I'm going to make it better. I actually did end up better. This ain't even on the notes, man. You guys are getting some bonus. I love it. I'm feeling a good vibe from you guys. So it worked, and that's, I ended up developing that, and year after year made it better, and just kept making it better, better, and better with the chickshaw. And finally, I was like, okay, I gotta make this pro. And I partnered with an engineer, carpenter, and that's Chris Slattery, who helped Joel Salatin make his book, Polyface Designs. And I said, can you make plans for me? And we partnered, and he's co-authoring this book. Great guy, attention to detail, the opposite of me. It's like what I needed. So anyway, the chickshaw has developed, and I've got links for that down in the description. We're kickstarting that right now for my next book. But back to the point here. I looked at things. Quit your gym membership would be an idea number 4, because and look at your chores, especially the ones you hate, especially the ones that are difficult. Oh, thank you, Adam. Adam, cheeky cheerleader in the house. You could quit your gym membership and look at your chores different. Oh, it's a pain to carry feed out to the chickens. Well, grab 2 buckets instead of 1, and on your way out there, do that. Run up the hill instead of walk. Dumpster diving was a way we save money, and that may seem extreme to a lot of you. And Dave Ramsey isn't going to put it in any of his books, but I'll tell you, dumpster diving can be legit. There's a lot of food that gets thrown away, and there's a lot of food that's good. And you're saying, hey, what? Wait, what's that? You supposed to eat that? Well, we did, but you could hide behind the excuse that this is for your animals. And if it's not good enough for you, is it good enough for your animals? They got beasts of a digestive system. They can eat that. Grow, and I should speak to this. And if that's too much for you, go into the grocery store. You got to go to not the big chains, not Whole Foods. It does help to go to the health food stores, I realize, like the little co-ops and stuff, and say to them, hey, could I come by? I'll come by once a week or twice a week and get food that you're throwing away. Boy, people are lighting up about this food. I wish I could time to read all this. You guys make sure you read some of the chats about what people are doing related to throwaway food. But so I would go, there was this cool, more progressive, like Earth Fair. It's like a Whole Foods around here. And I would go and get their food, and they were cool about that. They would save their food out before they threw it in the dumpster. But now I had to be regular. I couldn't say, oh, it's raining or it's cold or it's a little sleety outside. I had to show up, and if I couldn't show up, I had to have somebody else show up. I have no problem with that as a homesteader. I know how to show up. You guys know how to show up, and you know how to commit. So I would go, and that was good. And honestly, I didn't admit it for a long time, but we would go through it first. When we got into Lyme disease and bills started skyrocketing, we went from thriving in a frugal lifestyle to having Lyme and bills going up and physical ability going down to really hurting. And we weren't beyond looking through what was provided from these grocery stores and centering our meals around that. Guys, we found this, there was this grocery store, it was Earth Fair, it's a lot like Whole Foods, warehouse, and it was near us. And guys, if they hit one little thing on the pallet, they had to throw the whole pallet away. So I can remember getting honey by the 5-gallon buckets, or I think we picked up 120 pounds of butter in there once. We got probably 50 packs of bacon in there once. It was crazy. But we would always get this flour, and this is before we were gluten-free and even organic. And so we got this flour. I'm going to have to jump ahead a little bit right here. And we also had from the farm, from the homestead, eggs. So what would a guy make that week for breakfast? What would a Southern boy from North Carolina, 7 generations, make for breakfast? He'd make biscuits. I got so good at making biscuits. Egg and cheese biscuits every morning. No, I know. It's not the best health thing for you. So We wouldn't even do that if we had to. We'd just stick with just the eggs. But that's what we had. Black's Tropical Homestead, tons of biscuits. You know it. And you were probably typing that before I even said. Y'all are good Southerners. Um, so that leads me into growing, growing food. Now, growing food and eating it. I've been to so many places, commercial farms, market farms, homesteaders. They're growing a lot of food, but they're not eating it. We're still eating the old way. We're still eating how we did coming into this. But if we are willing, I mean, I spoke to you in the beginning about how when during the 100 Days of Growing Food challenge, at the end of it for the 2 weeks, how much could I live off of the land? I was literally eating a cream cheese on cucumbers. The cucumbers were from the land, the cream cheese was not. I factored that in. I wasn't living 100% off the land. Are you willing to do that? And are you willing to have cucumbers again and again and again for a couple of weeks? So, one, we want to grow what we love to eat. And two, there's some parts of learning to love what we eat. Oh my goodness. We weren't that excited about ham. I'm going to tell you a recent story. Just recent story, like I had it for leftovers today. I'll be honest, ham is not one of our favorite cuts of the pork. Boston butt all day long, but there's only so many Boston butts you're going to get back. Maybe 2, 4, depending on how big you cut them from a pig. And ham, kind of ended up being dry, kind of being, it's different than maybe what the ham you grew up with that nostalgic pink, thin sliced ham. That's not what you're going to get off of your homestead hams. It's going to be different. Well, Rebecca this time, Rebecca's on a streak. The beautiful one, she's cooking these amazing meals. She's feeling really good. And she got this rub off the internet, this barbecue rub, and just slow cooked that in the oven in a crock pot. Oh my gosh. And everybody, I don't think I've tasted such a good piece of meat in so long. Why am I telling that story? Oh, I'm telling that story to say, the ham was kind of And Zach, are you in here? He's in Abundance Plus. He said, you don't have bad food, you just have bad recipes. Wow. I should seat that one. You don't have bad food, you just have bad recipes. So figure it out. I mean, we would get bok choy from, does anybody know what bok choy is? Type in there if you know what bok choy is. We never cooked bok choy, but we started getting in these free foods from this co-op. And I don't even think I knew the name of it. I ended up having to ask them. And then I just Googled, how do you do bok choy? And it's all these Asian stir-fry recipes. And it ended up being one of our favorite dishes. So, I mean, sometimes I am a big advocate of growing what you love. If you don't like kale, no. Don't grow it. Don't grow that because it's cool. Now, you might not like kale because you haven't had it 8 different ways. I have. I can't stand kale still, and I've given up on it. And I'm just going to say kale now and be okay with it. So there's a point where you're not going to like it. Well, then don't grow it. But there is, hey, let's experiment with something and try it. You can turn, for low-carb eaters like myself, zucchini. You get an excess of that. You can dry it in a dehydrator and then use it as lasagna noodles in lieu of lasagna noodles. Ken's with me. He says kale no. Put in the chat. Are you kale no? Or are you kale yes? I'm kale no. Kale no. And the beautiful one, she's kale yeah. I've got a t-shirt that says kale no, and she's got a matching one that says kale yeah. So I love it when I do this. I do this at events, and it frees people up to say, oh, okay, I don't like kale. Oh, Justin's admitting it, because we do get in our heads that these homesteaders, these expert homesteaders, if you think I'm one of those, you think they like all the vegetables. Okay, that's just what you're supposed to do, but it's not. It's okay. It's okay if you don't like it. Okay, we've ended up throwing our own homegrown ground meat. I shouldn't say throwing, but giving it to our dog. And that's not a waste. We're giving it to our dog. You give it to your pigs, you give it to your chickens. It's not a waste because you're turning that into whatever you're feeding it. I guess you'd probably be better off feeding it to your chickens or pigs, because then you're at least turning that rotten ground beef or whatever is wrong with it into delicious chicken or meat. I will ask you, kale folks. You admit to liking it, but do you actually like kale more than pork? If we're being honest, do you like kale more than pork? Okay. Well, then feed the kale to the pigs, and they'll turn it into pork for you. Nature's greatest miracle. Okay. Yes, I pulled the kale joke. And I guess I'll keep pulling that kale joke until the last person in the world has heard it. Okay. Pork, no. Pork, no, she says. I like it. Okay. We talked about well, one car, one cell phone, one net, Earth's Gym, canceling your gym membership, dumpster diving, growing food to eat it. So we talked about growing what you love, but then actually learning to eat it with adapting to different items. Stop buying in the middle of the store. Stop buying the processed food. It's hard to grow Oreos, y'all. It's hard. If your grocery bill consists of Oreos, that's gonna be hard to replace growing yourself, and you certainly won't do it for cheaper. But if you look to the extremity of the store, which is whole meat, whole vegetables, fruits, nuts, have you noticed that? That's what's expensive here in America. It's actually backwards in Honduras. When I was in Honduras, it was the processed foods that was expensive because it was being imported from America and different places like that. And it was the outskirts, the whole foods, that were inexpensive. And I wonder if it's no wonder that most of those people in Honduras were thin. You didn't see a lot of overweight situations. So not only is it going to be good for your dollar bills, it is going to be good for your health. So let's talk about scrappy homestead structures. Oh my goodness. Ben Holt, are you in here? Growing Up Holt. We're doing a show with Ben Holt called Elevated, where we go in and help these local homesteaders at Black's Tropical Homestead. That's how I met them. They came and volunteered with us to help Ben. Come on, Blacks. This is like am I not right? Am I telling the truth? If you go to Ben Holt's, who else? Who better, as an example, to just look at what he has on a farm and make something happen out of it? He will scrap up something together. I encourage him to do a pig port next to his crop garden, and the dude had it in like a couple of weeks. And how did he do it? Well, he just cut down poplar trees from his farm, which he's trying to clear the poplar trees to make more pasture. Poplar trees, that's not what you build a pole structure out of. That's what Ben builds it out of, and it worked great. And they were fresh, they're not cured, they're just saw them down, use them as posts for your pole barn. It's gonna last him at least a year, if not 2 years. It cost him nothing, he probably built it in an afternoon. It cost him a few screws, and I think he built this shed. I used the carport and thought I was being frugal. He built this shed, and one side, I think it's full-on shed. He needs to build another one to cover his wood chips. But he's got these pigs, and it's probably 10 by 20, let's say. And they're on wood chips in there. And the only thing he's got in it is it's a plastic roofing or a tin roofing, I forget. So he's got $200 in this shed. I do bring that up to say, I scrapped in the beginning. I used this this dog coop and turned it into a mobile coop with like bicycle tires, and that's where you start. And I'm looking out the window here. I guess I can show you guys. Can I flip this? So I'm looking out the window here, and there used to be a shed right there. We had tenants in this old farmhouse a while back, and they would park over there. It gave them a little more privacy walking into their house, and because our house is that way, so if you park over there, you can, it's smart. And I said, I need a mobile milking shed. And I looked at that shed and I said, can I put that skids? I got Randolph, we put that thing on skids. And it worked. I mean, it didn't work, but it worked enough to know that it would work. And, we reinforced it. I guess it did work. We reinforced it for a couple of years until I finally looked at it and was like, wait, there's not a single piece of original wood on this. But I never picked up on that because we never really like tore the whole thing down and just started with fresh wood. It was just like, oh, these poles need to be thicker, or these. Anyway, so even today, I'm still scrapping. I will say this: if you get, that's one cool thing about getting these homestead builds. If you get our homestead builds and you get the plans, like the chicken tractor has 40 plans, and we just finished the chickshaw guys. It's available to Kickstarters. We're gonna start delivering those like Kickstarter again Saturday. It'll probably be Monday. We'll start delivering the assets to the Kickstarter backers. But you could go in there and then you have the foundational plans, and you could tweak it accordingly to the scraps you have, to what you must buy. I mean, you could use bicycle tires if you had to, but please get the Northern Tool flat free plastic rim tires. It's worth it, even though they're $100 a piece. You're going to save you so much time and energy, and we're going to talk about a little bit later about how that can actually help you and monetize you in a positive financial way. So when you have the basis for the build, it's easier to tweak than just to start from scratch. If somebody's already written out the plans, it's easier for you to veer from that for your own needs. And I don't mind that at all. I've had people veer from it out of necessity plenty of times. I've had a guy that wanted to put more birds in a chickshaw, so he actually built a dually. So this thing has two wheels next to each other on either side. So it has four wheels, so that the wheels, the rims will only hold so much, so they don't collapse. So Mike Dixon, he just built the new Chickshaw 5.0, followed our plans. But when he was at the store, there was no cedar at Lowe's, and it's more expensive. I like to build with cedar because it's non-toxic and rot resistant. It lasts a long time, and I don't have to treat it with a stain. It's just an extra time step. But if you got time, and a lot of times people have more time than they have money, and especially here in the beginning when you're frugal homestead, and you're happy that way, you do have more time than money, and that's okay, and you're happy. So Mike Dixon, he burned it. I think you guys should look up that video. I think look up on YouTube, the Fit Farmer best chicken coop burned. There's not too many videos that are going to be any close to that. I'm butchering the title, but it'll come up. He ended up burning the wood slightly to protect it. You could also get a stain for it and buy pine, and it would be significantly cheaper. But you need that basis. And you could get the basis right now with Kickstarter. It's a deal right now. $35 for the digital plan. $69 for the book. The book's going to jump up to $79 when we go to print in like a year and a half. And then you can get those plans now. Even if you buy the physical book, you're automatically getting the digital book, which is not going to happen in the future either. I should mention. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. That's not going to be an automatic include, especially when it goes to Amazon even further out. It's not being included. So when you get the physical book, you're also going to get the digital plans, and you're going to get the plans when we get it. And I've left a link for that down in the descriptions. Or those who watch it on your phone or TV, you can go to homesteadbuilds.com and back that and get in, guys. It's be a lot of fun. Be like Mike and build this thing. Do what you can. I think the only thing you had to sub out, I think you had to just get pine instead of, and maybe in some places he didn't use poultry nails, but I think it's because he had extra roofing screws, and he could screw in the siding of the hardware. That, I said, how much did it cost you? He built the Chickshaw for about $750. And I think if you use cedar, it's going to be quite a bit more. It'll probably be over $1,000. The Fit Farmer is so much fun. Isn't that, somebody said that in the comment. I think you guys should watch that video. I'll link it later. I wish Rebecca was here to update the link. Maybe somebody could link to it in chat. But I watched the Mike Dixon video about him building the Chickshaw, which is a Fit Farmer. And you know my takeaway from that? There was a point when he tried it out. He hooked it up to his mower. That was a lot of fun. Which, by the way, the Chickshaw, I had to, that should have been a secret on here. Farm with your feet and hands. Okay? For years, I homesteaded with just my 2 feet and 2 hands, using a wheelbarrow. My children weren't even big enough to really help, so they were on my back or in the wheelbarrow. and those were good times, and so those are good old days now, aren't they? They're not bad times. They're not begrudging times. I'm here now, and we have not just one side by side, but two side by sides, and I'm happy with that, and we're more productive by that. But I'm not. We were never unhappy in that state. It was a sweet, sweet time. But anyway, I watched Mike Dixon trying out the chickshaw. It's so fun. Well, just pay attention when he's hooks that chickshaw up to the what I was saying there is eventually got to the point where Rebecca wanted a side by side, and I relented. The beautiful one, the garden piece, and I got her a side by side, and then I ended up taking it over and using it all the time. I'm like, oh, it could be very helpful for us to. Let me show you this. I'm in zone 7. For the person asking, what happens if the chicken way over there? Okay, where 2 men is. See 2 men flopping around? They're just beyond that, right there in that tree. You can kind of see the fence beyond Randolph's trailer there and the mower. And what happens if you have to move your chickens from there? I hope I don't lose the internet stepping outside. And you got to go down this road, and then you need to end up over there because it's a big jump, right? You're following the cows or something. Well, and that's a 35-degree slope, okay? So you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna hook up. What did we do? We put a chiddler on the back of the, one of the older ones. We put them on the side by side, and we drove slowly out. We held on to it. It worked. So we wanted to fell small. If it didn't work, okay, but it worked. Oh, well then let's put a hitch on this thing. And eventually we got a hitch. But anyway, Mike's trying this thing out, and in the video, and he's got it on his mower, and he's going out to the road, and he's like, well, let's see how it backs up. And his 2 little kids are there, and he's like, beep, 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 total dad just fooling around. And the kids didn't like crack up. It was just like totally normal to them. That what was precious to me. The fact that fun was normal was precious to me. Like I'm tearing up, because I mean that's a good dad. And guys, I don't have this in my notes, so sorry, I'm veering away. But what a good dad. Kids don't laugh at the dad jokes. You got yourself a good dad. Because that means that dad jokes are coming in, and they're coming in hot. They're coming in a lot. And I just thought that was precious. That will tell you a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. And somebody looking at that might think, well, oh gosh, what's going on? The kids don't laugh at that. You know, they being mean behind the scenes, whatever. Absolutely not. The fact that kid is being so norm at fooling around, it's the opposite. It's that's how they are. The kids have gotten used to it. He rid them off as crazy long ago, because they made fun normal. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, I don't know. I think maybe I was going to relate that to this. But anyway, he was testing out this thing, and it worked good for him. And I think I was going to relate it in a better way than that. But anyway, greatest part of the live show right here. Praising Mike for being such a great dad and making fun the normal. Anyway, maybe I'll think of it later. So anyway, scrappy homestead structures. That's one way that we got. That's one way how we were thriving with homesteading and not spending a lot of money. Feeding chickens for $0. We found so many different ways to feed chickens for $0. First of all, grain's very expensive. When we transitioned from GMO to organic, we went from like $13 a bag to $36, and I thought that was crazy, but now it's like $50 a bag. So I began to wonder, how can I do this? How can I afford this? Well, instead of moving my chickens once a week, let's move them every day. Instead of feeding them all they can eat, let's ration food. Let's ration it down until it affects their egg laying. And so, long story short, I was feeding these chickens over 1/3 pound a day. I started rationing their feed. We got down to like 1/10 pound and moving them every day. And we could move their net, my one net, and these chickens with my jerry-rigged chickshaw in 9 minutes. So with one net and my nice chickshaw, you could move it in less than 9 minutes. Isn't this Watch Fit Farmer video last night? It was great. Loved his attitude. Yes. And I will tell you, I know him personally and have known him for 6-7 years now, Mike. He was like our original backer of our original Kickstarter, Permaculture Chickens. And what you see on that video is what he is in real life. And I've spent lots of time with him, and that's who he is. What a good guy. So that was one way, just being creative and just moving chickens more, rationing their feed. A soaking feed will make feed go 15 to 25% further. Guys, we just stuffed a bucket full of chicken guts. You might feel weird about feeding chicken guts straight to your chicken. We just had a butchering. We just put chicken guts in a bucket, drilled holes all up in the side. Flies are going to go in there, lay their larvae. The maggots are going to come out, and we got this food from thin air feeding these chickens. And chickens, if given a chance, are going to eat protein over grains. I don't have the chance to go through all these ways because there was a time, we free range meat chickens. Like, you don't want to do that with Cornish cross, but if you wanted to get some cheap dual purpose roosters, because a lot of hatcheries just throw those out, so they tend to be cheaper, and feed them a couple bags of food. 50 birds, I think we did. We fed them a couple of bags of food, and then they were on their own, and we free ranged. They were not big carcasses. They looked like rubber chickens when we harvested them, but we would get 3 pounds, 2.5, 3 pounds. But we paid like 50 cents. I forget what it was. Maybe it was 75 cents a pound. Maybe it was 50 cents. I don't know. I don't remember. It was cheap. And oh my goodness, it would have been healthy. That was bug raised, grass raised, pasture raised, premium chicken, beyond organic chicken. There's so many different ways. If you really want to geek out on this, you could ask Mr. Google Pants for Abundant Permaculture. That's my old blog, Abundant Permaculture. Different ways to feed a chicken, and you're gonna get. I think I have a YouTube video on it too. How I feed 30 chickens on $1.25 a day, something like that. If somebody wants to type those in, or link them, or Black's Tropical Homestead, if you guys want to look up that Abundant Permaculture article for people, if you just Google Pants, if you ask Mr. Google Pants for Abundant Permaculture, how to feed chickens without grain, it'll probably come up. And then the YouTube video, how I feed 30 chickens on $1.25 a day. Okay, we're almost done with the savings, and we're getting to the fun part, the earnings, because there's no limit to how much you can earn, whereas there is a limit on savings. I will talk about before we go into the earning. Let's talk about the raised bed and how you can 3x your money, like 3 times your money. You like spend $1, you spend $1.50 and you get like $3 back. Like, that's crazy. In value. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Thank you, Ken. Ken linked the article. So I'm going to say one more savings. I said slash bills. That's no good. That's no good, I'll be honest. I even wrote it very sloppy. See how this last one is sloppy? That's no good. You guys can go online and learn how to slash bills. Maybe I had something specific here I wanted to tell you, but I don't think I can add anything to that. I mean, at times when we want to crunch things, we'll just look at our bill statements and say, well, do we really want this, need this? You know, another question you could ask, if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about the difference between the rich and the poor, and it's in the way they spend their money. The rich spend money on assets, things that save them money or earn them money. The poor spend monies on liabilities, things that depreciate over time. So that would maybe be a car that's not used for business. Whereas somebody who, if you want to be wealthy, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the monetary sense, you could be like Judah and the Lion. They have a song that says, we're rich, but we ain't got no money. Can you guys relate to that? Who can relate to that statement? We're rich, but we ain't got no money. Um, so yeah, you could go through there and just oh, so as homesteaders, when you're investing in the things of your homestead, those I said invest. I didn't say buy. I said invest. I'll give you a perfect two men. I showed him to you earlier in this live show. Two men. I had this hunch. Okay, so something got our chicks. Something got half our chicks, our egg laying chicks. And it's pretty bad for us because we were going to replace half our flock because half our flock is going to be 2.5 years old at fall. We're not going to be able to do that now because we need to keep them. They're not going to be super proficient at laying eggs. So we're not going to be the height of proficiency, but proficiency is not the right word. Efficiency. Um, so we'll keep but some got these chicks. We're gonna get some more, but oh man, this cannot happen again. And every year, our meat chickens, we have the guard goose, and that helps. But we'd start with 100, but end with like 85 or 75, and it's kind of like, okay, we'll just grow 2 batches, and have some, instead of 1, and then we'll just have some extra. But then I thought, would 2 men scare off crows, hawks, and owls, which are our number 1 predators? 2 men. What's 2 men? 2 men is this. You see them at the used car lot. They're to catch your attention. I think they're called look your way. 2 men. Some people call them balloon man. I think it's the new scarecrow. Because we've tried scarecrows that work for about 3 days. I was gonna get this 2 men. But then, we're like everybody right now. Prices are up. We're trying to cut costs. I'm not gonna buy 2 men. It's like $150. But then I started thinking, oh my goodness, okay, if I lost 15, if I lost 15 egg laying chickens and they're $5 a piece, let's say $5. That's gonna be easier math with shipping. 15. Oh, that's not easier. If there were 3, it was gonna be $45. Come on, Ken. What's 5 times? What's 5 times 15? 50, 75? Is that right? Somebody check me on that. So $75. Okay. So it would have saved me $75 just right there in laying chickens. Not to count I'm having to raise more, I'm at more time, this and that. Meat chickens. Let's have more fun with it. Let's make it easy math. If I lost 10 and a meat chicken, $6 a pound if you get pasture raised meat at Whole Foods. I'm not even sure if this is organic. Might be for organic. $6 a pound. If you go to the farmer's market, that's what it is. At least $6 a pound. Let's do easy math again. 5 pounds, let's say, the bird becomes. So that'd be $25, right? That'd be $25 a chicken. So if it saved us 10 chickens, that's $250 in savings. 2 men's been paid for. So, how does that have to do with slash bills? Where did I go with that? Anyway, good content here. I should say, be careful about slashing those bills. I mean, getting rid of Netflix is one thing. To get rid of Abundance Plus, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that because you can get in there and learn, and you learn how to save money or earn money. Shameless plug. That wasn't even in the notes. But buy the 2 man. Spend $150. You have to spend money to make money. And sometimes you have to spend money to save money. Oh, that's what it was. The rich spend money on assets. 2 men is an asset. Okay, he's increasing our income, whether he's causing us to save money or giving us bigger, more chickens that we can sell. He's increasing our wealth. We spent $150 and we saved. Well, if you count those chicks, what'd you guys say it was? 75 plus 250, $325 all day long, and that's untaxable stuff there. Okay, we're gonna get into the fun stuff on some ways you can earn money from the homestead and how we did in those early days. But let's talk about the raised bed. I think I jotted down some notes. You're going to bear with me. They're a little sloppy. So I went back to actually a YouTube video. Ken, you might want to link this one. I just YouTubed and I said, Justin Rhodes, $1,000 raised bed. That was back in 2020 when we were getting these $1,000 foods or stimulus checks, and I was trying to help. I'm trying to help the community as much as possible, and I'm thinking everyone's going to get this $1,000 influx. You know, prices are going up. There's these food shortages. Oh, what if what would happen if somebody spent $1,000 on gardening? What if they spent $1,000 on egg laying? What if they spent $1,000 on meat chickens? What would happen? And by the way, the egg layers, especially now with the price of it, even with the prices of eggs, because of the price of feed, not so much a monetary value. There's other values, emotional and health, but you're going to spend some money growing some eggs. You might not save some if you're comparing apples to apples. Okay, but with the raised bed and the meat shop, you could save some money. You can earn some big money. Let me give you an example. So you could look up these if you want to go, but I went back today and reviewed. What if somebody spent $1,000 on gardens and they did the most expensive garden, the raised bed? That's the one I know. You know, with cedar siding and buying the initial soil that goes into it. It's crazy. So back then, I think I might have adjusted it. You could build the raised bed for $350, and then you spend $200 on soil, and then $40 on tools, $78 on seed. Anyway, you got $656 invested. That's not even $1,000. But the thing is, that thing lasts 10 years, so you depreciate that over 10 years. That's only $57 a year. So do you think, honestly, in a 4x8 foot garden bed that you could, and likely you might have a lot of your own soil or compost, or you could get soil cheaper, and do you think you could grow more than $57 worth of produce in a 4x8 bed? If you did the square foot gardening method, which means you could have 16 lettuces, 16 chard, 4 tomatoes, 4 peppers, 3 broccolis, 3 cabbage, 4 squash, 2 cucumbers, and 1 melon. You could plant all that in one 4x8 foot garden bed. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a book called Square Foot Gardening, and those are some of the planting guide spacing. If you go by that in a raised bed, that would be an example. You can plant whatever you want in that raised bed, but I just gave you a really good variety. Long story short, for those of you who want to screenshot that or something, $390 worth of produce, and that's just one planting. You could plant in the spring. That's more like your summer planting, isn't it? And then you could do a fall planting. You could even do a winter planting. You guys, you could have 3-4 plantings in just 1 year, and that's just 1 year. So I dare say you could have $1,000 worth of produce in just a year, and then you could do that for 5 years, say, until you need to replace the bed. But I think it would last even longer. So, you know, we get a lot of, you know, if I were to ask people, what's your number one struggle for building structures of your homestead? The honest answer is finances or time. You know, time would be a second biggest struggle. Well, it's after looking at these numbers, it's kind of like, well, it's the answer. Like, yes, I have to come up with some sort of dollars to be able to go and buy this lumber at Lowe's, because I don't have it all on the farm. I do have to have this initial. I'm going to talk about this in earning, about how you can get this initial money without you having the initial money. You have to get into it somehow, because once you are into it, it can solve these financial problems that we're having. So it's like if you put $1.50 into a raised bed, you're going to get $4 of value out of it. It's like 3x, almost. No, it is. I don't know, 3x-ish. 3x, that'd be like 300%, wouldn't it? The stock market over the last 100 years, if you had invested across the board, you're going to have an 8% You're gonna have 8% growth. It's like 300% growth, and it's not taxable. Joel Salatin was saying, somebody emailed me in response to one of these sales emails about the homestead build. Joel Salatin was saying, and I've asked him myself, Joel, do you invest in the stock market? He said, heck no, if I get any extra money, I'm building a pond. You know, he's building these water collection ponds on his property to feed his livestock and irrigate his pastures, make it more productive. But essentially, he's putting it back into the farm. And why wouldn't you? That's what wealthy people do. That's what you do, small homesteaders. You don't have to be a billionaire to be wealthy. You don't have to be a millionaire. You can be living on $24,000 a year like Rebecca and I, living this frugal lifestyle, but feeling like kings. Because you're growing steak and pork butt and bacon and eggs. Like, that's the norm. Let's be like, you know, Mike Dixon made fun the norm. We talked about that earlier. Well, let's make royal food the norm and the affordable. And you can do that by growing it yourself. Just because you might be living under the poverty line, doesn't mean you ain't rich. Like Judah and the Lion says, we're rich, but we ain't got no money. He's talking about, is he a homesteader? I don't think so, but he sure is talking about homesteaders. Incredible. And that's just one raised bed. What happens if you do 7 raised beds? And that's not even, okay. And that's, what if you built my chicken tractor? What if you got Homestead Builds and you got the chicken tractor plans and you built it in 1-2 days? That's what people are building it in. And it's about $450, okay? Randolph got all the supplies for us to build one for the person who won it. Congratulations. It's about $450, and that's with cedar. So with pine, gosh, you could probably build it for much less. What if you did that? I mean, what if you invested in that and then build you a bulletproof instant chicken garden? I have plans for the instant chicken garden, how you can do that when you back the Kickstarter. You get that as a bonus. The instant chicken garden PDF on how to do that. That's even less expensive garden in building a chicken tractor, and then you have 3 or 4 chickens. So then you're getting the eggs. So then you have that stacked function, and you have that added value. So it's even more productive. So then you're getting even more than $390 value in one planting because you have all the eggs. So I would say to those people who struggle financially, I get it. I was there. I was jumping in dumpsters. I'm talking about some of the other creative things that we do coming right up. I think we can just get right into it. But I've been there, and I would tell them, let's get out of that scarcity mentality. Let's get into an abundance mentality and challenge ourselves, not with, I can't afford it, to start asking yourself, how can I? And I'm not saying you get lucky and stumble into this fortune. I'm just saying you challenge your brain, and your brain will come up with a way of how you can do it. And it might mean, oh, well, I don't get cedar, I get pine, and I paint it. Or I go in with a friend. I'm kind of teasing what's coming up with how we're going to earn money from the homestead. You go in with a friend. I look through the couches for money. I sell a bunch of stuff I don't really need on Craigslist. I become a minimalist and sell absolutely everything I don't need that doesn't bring me joy. Gone, selling it. I don't know. It might be selling your coop that you built that you thought was going to be the Taj Mahal and this awesome thing, and now you're shoveling out its poop. You might need to sell that and build one of these coops where you don't have to clean out the manure. So that's at, real quick, halfway. Where are we, halfway? Oh, good Lord. We're already at 3. I was going to quit by 3, but you're getting a big, long show here. Okay, so, yeah, just as a touch base here, a little break. We're kickstarting Homestead Builds. You can get it at homesteadbuilds.com. Link in the description. It's only going for 39 more hours. So it's over Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And you could get the plans for the chicken tractor, the chickshaw, the raised bed, the A-frame, seed planting tray, poultry drying rack, mineral shawl for the poultry, The meat shawl, which can also now serve as the sheep shawl. Over a dozen designs, and you'll get them as they drip out. Plus, the bonuses I've mentioned, I've got a planting guide. And the bonuses, they're coming out right away next week. Next week, you're getting the chicken tractor plans, the Chick Shaw 5.0 plans, the Instant Chicken Garden PDF, the planting guide PDF, the carpentry class. We built a master class carpentry class. There's probably 30 lessons in different carpentry skills. How to drill into metal, how to cut at an angle. I learned so much, how to pick out lumber at the store. It's an incredible class, and that's going to be available to everybody next week. And some of these things, tour for two. Guys, get a ticket, come to my house, get a tour. We're going to have a farm-to-table dinner, get a tour of the farm, see all the builds, even the ones that we're going to do book number 2. Several years from now, it'd be next down the line. We're doing book number 2 for the big animals, the pigs, the cows, those structures, the bigger greenhouses. You'll see those too. Come, we'll show you around. That's limited. We only have so many seats for that, and that's not going to happen again. So, farm to table meal and just time together. That'd be a lot of fun. And there's limited tickets on that. So do check out the Kickstarter. Let's get into the and by the way, I should take this minute to say thank you. We've had over 1,300 people. We're over $100,000. Like, y'all have spoken. Y'all want this. Y'all want this bad. We're putting so much back in. Remember how I talked how you have to spend money to make money? Well, I'm spending money on a graphic designer. I'm partnering with Chris to make these really good designs. We're getting a good print. It's a hardback book. It'll be portrait mode. You can open it up and it lays flat on the table because you want to take it out and open it up flat so that you can read it. Or you don't want to take it out to the field with you and you just want to make copies. Maybe you don't want to mess with getting the digital version or whatever. But that's the beauty of getting the Kickstarter. You get the physical book, but also the digital. And the digital is great for if you want to print it. You just want to print it and just take something out with you on a clipboard. You're afraid of messing up the book. Oh, I'm going to sign these. I'm going to sign these books for the Kickstarter, folks. Anyway, let's get into the... I'm so tired going into this, guys. I wanted to take a nap so bad before I get into this. I just had 2 surgery on Monday. And sometimes with my Lyme, especially in the afternoon, I feel so tired. And I just want to take a nap. But then I got on here with you guys, and now look at us. We're like an hour in. You guys just have so much energy. I appreciate it. You've revived me. So let's keep going. You want to... Where's my outline? There it is. So, okay. So here's how we thrived with earnings early on. I imagine you know how we can now. I mean, you could... I'll jump to the one ways. I'm not going to necessarily go into it here, but end up creating content about your life. That's what we end up doing with writing blogs. You could write books. You could get on podcasts. You could do the social media thing with vertical videos on Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. You could get into YouTube. Never has there been a more ripe opportunity to earn money from the homestead in content creation. There's never been more of a better opportunity for that. And you might say, oh, it's saturated. There must be 1,000 YouTube channels, vlog channels now. And maybe there is. There's at least hundreds. There's not room for more. Yes, there is, because there's only one you, okay? And you don't have to do it just in style. I have so many people come up to me and say, at first I just tried to do what you do, and it just wasn't working. And they settled on doing instructionals or just not talking and just setting up different shots. Or do like Greg Judy, and he just goes out on his phone and talks and teaches about one thing and just no edits. Just uploads directly with his phone, and he's doing great. Big marketing driver for his livestock sale business, and big side income, if not one of the major ones in his business now. So anyway, but early on, what did we do? What did we do when we had no money, when we had no following? Many of you guys don't have following. You're not online. You don't have any interest in that, and that's okay. You know how we did it? Now listen, I'm going to ask you this. Do you want it or do you want it? Do you want a homestead? And you know what? I should change scenes. You guys want to go outside? I've been sitting here way too long. I probably shouldn't hold it in my hand, though. So let's see if we can hold it on the register. So It might get too loud out here because we are remodeling. I wouldn't say we're remodeling. I'd say we're rebuilding at this point. How's this? Want to see the background here? Well, I think I should cut those dandelions. I have no view anymore. Side pasture, pole barn way down there. House, you can't see it for the bushes. Okay, burning. I better kind of speed this up because eventually my family's gonna need me. We're gonna zip through it. It's a little harder to see you guys because it's bright, so I'll keep touching the screen. Okay, hey, we guys, this is family land. I didn't inherit it. I inherited a portion, a small portion. I had to make the decision if I was going to buy the rest because there were other family members involved, and that's how my dad set it up. I needed to, for the inheritance to be fair across the board, I would need to buy this if I wanted it. And I had to make that decision. That's a lot of what the Great American Farm Tour was about, seeing if we really wanted to commit here and not somewhere else. So I had to pay a mortgage. Sure, it might be owner financing, but you got to pay it. So how to do that when you have no money? Airbnb. We had a guest room. Airbnb. And we rented our not a spare house, a spare bedroom, and it paid the mortgage, and sometimes more than the mortgage. Actually, a lot of times more than the mortgage. We were willing to do it. That meant, to make sure our kids were safe, putting them in the bedroom with us. That actually ended up being a sweet time. That was good times. And so that means that was the good old days. Met people from all over the world. All over the world came and visited. We had a map and we'd pin up where people were from, and we had visitors from China, Russia, Germany, Africa, all over the United States. Isn't that been a great time? Of course, people are scared, but aren't we scared? But what would you do if you weren't afraid? With homesteading and any good thing in life, a lot of times we're gonna have to push through our fears. Take steps to be precautious and safe as you can, and then just go from there. I would also mow and take the trash because my dad had rented these other houses out and they had tenants in them, and I said, hey, I'll take I'll mow and I'll take the trash and we'll get some off rent. Actually, that should have came in the savings category, shouldn't it? Okay, this is fun. In the beginning, we did shares. Remember how I said, well, what if you don't have the funds to go get the money? We'll say, how can I afford it? And you're probably thinking of ways you can save money or shift money, or you're getting close when you're starting to say, well, what could I sell to earn the money to get there? How about selling egg shares? How about going, and we did this for egg shares, we did this for beef, and we did this for CSA. How about going through your phone contact and saying, now you could text them. I had to call them, guys. That was scary. Talk about scary and nerve-wracking. Calling friends and saying, hey, tell them the truth. Hey, we want to grow our own eggs. We're going to feed them really good. We're going to feed them this and that. We don't have the money up front to invest in the coop or this and that. We're going to sell egg shares. Chickens aren't going to start laying for 6 months. You want to have 1 or 2 chickens. This is what you get. A dozen eggs a week. At that time, it's like 20 a month. It was like $5 a dozen. It's going to have to be more than that now if you guys want to make some money on that. Especially if you're feeding organic. You might be able to do that if you're feeding a non-GMO. I mean, when we were in Ohio, they're non-GMO feed up there for $50, for $17 for a 50-pound bag. Down here, the non-GMO would probably be $35. So if you're in Ohio, I guess I'm talking about it from a North Carolina perspective, where I'm having to ship in the feed and the farmer 2 farms down isn't growing it, you know what I mean? Or if you're in Virginia, laying eggs is going to be very viable and could be very profitable to you. So I guess the beef one's a better example. So you can, I could call my friends and say, hey, you want to go out on some beef? I needed to buy the fencing, the water supplies, and didn't have the money. And I wanted grass-fed meat for my family. So let's say I forget what it was exactly. We were a small family at the time, so let's just take one steer for the sake of example. Well, I need half of it for our beef. Well, I'll sell. You should do this with at least 2 cows, and I did. It's just let's just go with the example of 1 cow right now. So if I need half the shares, I'll sell the other 2 shares. At that level, you're probably you're paying for your own beef. Like you didn't pay anything for your beef, and you've sold it up front. Hey, I need to go get this cow. I need to put the infrastructure in. I need a deposit of half, and this is what I think we'll get in the freezer at the end, and we'll get the other half from you at the end, and we'll adjust it according to how much you actually got in meat. Really good model, and you're being straight up and honest with them the whole time, and they're taking a risk with you. You're doing the work, they're investing, and it works great. We could not afford to go out at the time. A 500-pound steer was $500. We could not afford the $500. But if we went halvesies in on it, well, okay. How could I do this without? No, that's going to be too much math. But anyway, I could with beef, and if I did four, not only could I feed my family, I could profit $1,000 per steer. But let's keep it related to. Let's give you a meat shaw example. If you build the meat shaw, I don't know exactly how much the meat shaw is going to cost you, but if the chicken tractor's $450, it's going to be quite a bit less than that. It doesn't have nearly as many moving parts or hardwares. Oh, but it does have the wheels, so let's say it's going to be about $450. And you raise 100 chickens, that's going to be 400 pounds. And then, why did I say times 6? Okay, and so why did I say times 6? Did I say they were going to be 600 pounds? Or did I say they were going to be 6 pounds each? Let's say they're going to be 5 pounds each. Okay, let me see where I was going to go with this. Anyway, so if you raise $6 a pound, that's what I was doing. So if you have 400 pounds and it's worth $6 a pound, that's $2,400 in just one chicken run. Guys, you could do 4 or 5 runs really, but that's just one. Feed for those guys, it's going to be half that. Whether you're feeding organic or not, it's dollars. I don't know. But if you're feeding organic, it's half that. So it's going to be $1,200 for your feed. That's $1,200. But then you did have the cost of the meat shaw. So this is maybe $75 a year with depreciation. So you're looking at like, is that $1,000? Yeah. You're looking at about $1,000 in value there after all said and done. And what if hey, maybe you eat 50 of them, and maybe you sell the other 50 to friends and family. 50 is one chicken a year. How much chicken do you eat a year? Is it 2 chickens a week? Is it 1 chicken a week? If it's 1 chicken a week, you're selling 50 of them. You're getting $500, and then you've grown the other 50 for yourself, and you came out with money. Like that's a beautiful way to earn from the homestead. What would you do with an extra $500? Get a new element for your farm? Would you invest in some bees? Would you go and build the chicken tractor? The chicken tractor? Would you get a freeze dryer? Rebecca's wanting the freeze dryer. I don't know how much it is. Maybe you're only putting towards a freeze dryer. I don't know how much they cost. How much do freeze dryers cost? Would you pay off debt? What would you do with that $500? That's what we're talking about. So I know a lot of the hindrance is, it's $35 for the digital, or it's $69 for the book. Well, that's as low as it's going to be for considering all the stuff that comes with it. Eventually it'll go on Amazon. Eventually, you guys will be first, and then we'll go to print, and we'll launch it again, and then eventually it'll go to Amazon. But it won't have any of these bonuses. It won't have the digital. And then it's maybe you can get past the book cost. Maybe you can scrounge up $70 for the book right now. But then you actually have to build the structures. But as you're seeing today, they're assets. They're going to earn you savings or income. So we have to find a way. And I think one viable way that I've done and can speak to myself, and there may be other ways that you can do side hustles that have nothing to do with this. Maybe you want to teach English as a second language, as some of my friends do online at 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a couple of friends that do that. I think it might be 5 o'clock. They're teaching Chinese kids how to speak English. And you don't have to know Chinese to do it. I don't know. So maybe it's a side hustle like that. Maybe it's an entrepreneurial thing. Maybe it's starting to create content. Who knows? But where was I with that? I gave you the meat shawl example. I do want to speak to. Oh yeah, you got to just get through it somehow to get in it. But and now that I think about it, how did we get so far? Now we have this pole barn. Now we've got this chicken processing. We didn't always, guys. We were basically our first chicken processing. We didn't have any chicken processing equipment. I rented it for $50 from a local farm. Okay, and that was too cheap, and I got what I paid for, and it was just a terrible experience. But you could butcher it with a knife, a string, and a pot that you probably already have in your kitchen. Like, no more excuses. Like, start there. And because you're butchering, and you could have 15 for yourself and sell 15 and do that with a knife, harvest with a knife, string, and a pail, and sell the 15, and then you build up from there. There's these YouTube videos, Ryan Trahan especially. It's a lot of fun. He'll start with a penny or some small item like a pen, and he'll trade up. He'll trade and trade and trade until he's finally got this house. It's like crazy. That's how it happens. That's how it happens for the wealthy. And it doesn't have to be monetary, like I said. It could be the homestead wealthy. The wealthy in life. Like you start with a knife, a rope, and a pot. And even if you're just growing the food for yourself, you're saving that money. And that money can be used to expand. Like if you saved $500 because you did the meat shaw, or if you did the meat shaw plan and you profited $500 and put some in your freezer, and then you put that into the chicken tractor, well, there you go. And because then the next year you have the chicken tractor and the meat shaw. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope this is terribly obviously to you now. And because then the next year after that, what's it going to be? Because you're going to have the $500 value from the meat shaw, and then the gardens and the chickens, you're going to have the, what did we say? How much value did we say? It was like $390. So let's say $400 with the chickens, and that's being very conservative. So then you have like a $900 value. And if you keep on putting that back into the farm like we have, before you know it, you've got this full-on butchering shed. And I'm still looking at it. We had the butchering workshop yesterday or the day before. And I'm looking at it and saying, we have this shed now with electricity and the plucker and the scalder and all the things. And it's nice. But we still run hoses to each watering station. And I'm like, pretty soon we're going to put a plumbing pipe to each station so that we don't have to use hoses. And we have to set up the hoses, take them down. We won't have to do that. And we'll just compound on that. We'll just build on that. I want that for you guys. And these builds will help you do that. The chicken tractor, the meat shaw, and now the meat shaw can be multi-purposed and used for sheep when it's not being used. You'll have the meat chicken in there 5 weeks. What are you gonna do with the rest of the year? And if you do like us, you have 2 batches in there. You do 2 batches. That's only 10 weeks. It's just 20% of the year. The rest of the year, you could run grow out some pigs with it, and that'd be their shelter. You could do some lamb in it, or God forbid, devil eyes, goats. But that's the financial abundance, and we got to get across this threshold somehow. And it may feel like, oh, I can't because I can't do it all, right? You're not going to be able to. I couldn't build all 12 of those things. I thought about it. for this, for promotion, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll start saying I can't. Maybe I'll say, how can I build all those builds so that I can have this mega promotion, and maybe we'll give them away to you guys. I don't know. How could I build but who could do that, right? It's not going to make sense, time and money, to build all the 12 at once. Let that not be an excuse. That's sometimes we can look too big and it intimidates us. A lot of times people get in a homestead, they're intimidated by all they want to do and all that there is to do. I'm intimidated, guys, right now. I was thinking on the way over here, you know what my next video needs to be? It needs to be about how there's too much to do and not enough time, money, and energy. And that's what this season is right now. We are in the height. 2 days ago, we were at our maximum height. We have the maximum amount of sunshine, but we also had the time of the year we had 2 batches of Cornish cross on farm. We have the little chicks growing up, and the big chicks then get harvested, and we put the little chicks out, and that's the height of our season. And from then on, it kind of goes like this. We've got a beef harvest coming up with Fosse, right? And then we've got the sea monsters harvest, and things start slowing down. What in the heck was I talking about? Got way off notes there. I'm having fun with you guys. The financial abundance. We got to get over that hump so that we can enjoy it. And we got to do it a little bit at a time. I guess that's what I was saying. We can't bite it. Why am I saying can't? We won't, we shouldn't bite it all off at once. Well, why can't we? I mean, if you want to. Admit it if you just won't. If you just want to make up excuses for yourself, just say I won't. And then if you want it all, then it would make sense. Well, it would certainly make sense. If you could ask yourself, how can I have the money to do this? How could I have the time? And let your brain answer that. It may take a while. The bigger it is, the probably longer it'll take. But there's also, we're not thinking about everything here. When my dad grew up on this farm, sustenance farm, no running water and electricity in this house, grew it all. Everything was organic back then. There was no such thing as organic because everything was organic. He forsook it. Why? I mean, thankfully he left the land, but he became an orthodontic salesman. And I would ask him why, why didn't he continue to farm? And he would say, well, I could make more money as an orthodontic salesman and just buy it at the store. And he was so right. And it made so much more sense. And he's still right today if you're buying like eggs at Go Grocery for less than $1 a dozen. That's crazy. In my opinion, that's crazy. And because, well, what's in that? And how in the world did that happen? And the quality is off. And even then, back when he was forsaking the farm and getting into food, it wasn't as bad as it is today. I mean, McDonald's fries used to be fried in beef tallow. And if you don't know, that's good. Like, frying in animal fats is a much better fat than seed oil, which is what it would be fried in today. We're talking about artificial flavoring out there and stuff. And at least back then in my dad's days, things would have been less sprayed. There weren't GMOs and this and that. Hi from California, they said. So I might have to go back inside because the mower's cranking up. And I'm wrapping this up. There's another abundance. So I would say the health abundance. Rebecca and I are growing these meats because we have to. You can't find. I guess you can't. I mean, you can't get grass-fed lamb that hadn't been. You can't get that. And if you did find grass-fed lamb, you probably can't get it that hadn't been dewormed or vaccinated or anything like that. So we have to grow it. And if you can get it, you could. You could get it from U.S. Wellness Meats. We have before. And the sheep leg is like $135. So if you can get it, which it might be coming from New Zealand too, it's very expensive. So we have to grow it because we are growing food for our health. And so we've been talking about all the monetary, saving money or earning money, But what about the health factors? You're going to spend money on health now or later. You might as well spend it now on health and abundance on the homestead than later to corporate uh, uh, doctors and hospitals and pharmaceuticals. So you're going to spend money on health now or later. And I venture to say it's going to be a more expensive, more tragic, sad, annoying experience spending money on health care, if we dare even call it health care. Okay? So spending the money now is going to save us in the long run. Rebecca, I'm sitting here. I don't know if you can see my swill jar. We laugh because we were so frugal, too frugal. We didn't get a cavity worked right off the bat, and ended up in an abscess and a root canal that went bad, and then got two of my other teeth, and 3 years later, multiple surgeries on implants, thousands and thousands of dollars. We didn't save no money. X-rays, exposure to radiation, all this through it. We didn't save no money. We should have spent the money. Just like I said earlier, we should have spent the money on Tube Man and saved our chickens. Don't be so cheap that you're cheap. I mean, don't be so cheap that it costs you. Then there's that health abundance. And finally, there's the emotional abundance. I had somebody come to the butcher workshop day before yesterday and say he was watching my kids work, and they were into it. My kids they're not always into it's kind of like the same old to them, but there was something about it. All my kids wanted to just jump in on the chicken butchering yesterday. I was thrilled about that. All of them, even Jonah. He's out there on one leg, doing what he can, running them through the spinner, eviscerating. So proud of him. Two guys raced him. One guy butchered 1,000 chickens, and another was Mr. Efficient and was really good at butchering chickens. They were helping us run the workshop. Jonah beat him in a race, and I bet they processed that, eviscerated the chicken in like 45 seconds. I was real proud of him. Let me shut this door. So that's that's what I would call an emotional abundance. So being able to work with your family to provide something. We're not even counting that in we're running these numbers earlier. That's just a very shallow look at things. So even if you're not going to save money raising eggs, maybe you should. Maybe you should. Because it's healthier, and because there's an emotional abundance there. Because that's something that you can do with your kids. One guy told me, I love it when I go meet somebody who has been married a long time, they seem happy, or has a lot of children that are around them, and the children are adults, or adult-ish, and they're around them. That's success. And so I said to them, as a parent and as a fan, I said, what's the secret? I always like to ask them the secret. Well, I was Our Father's Farm in Virginia, and the dad said, well, you go camping. Somebody told me once you go camping. I said, oh, that's different, because usually somebody will say God. You know, if they say that, I'll say, okay, well, give me some specifics. One guy said 2 words, and I said, forgive me? He said, no, you won't need those 2 words if you do it, and it's yes, dear, those words. But anyway, I was asking this guy, and he said, go camping. I said, okay. And somebody had taught him this, and he said, when you go camping, you're all together. You don't have these distractions. You're all working towards one goal. You know, survive the night, or cook the meal, or get down the river with the canoe, whatever it is. And you have the struggles along the way. You know, you have and maybe it's not struggles. Maybe everything goes well, but there's still struggles. You got to put up the tent. You got to cook the meal or whatever. But then you also have these victories. You also share in this meal. And also, you know, we did a camp out with the Holler Boys. We did Mighty Man Camp every year, and they came and Ben cooked some rice and burnt the rice. Didn't put enough water in it. We heated some rice. and we ate that rice. And we're like, this is like, what this is like? It was so smoky and burnt. We're sitting there eating it. I mean, we're just so hungry camping. And we had a lot of meat. We ate a lot of meat, but it was still good to get some of these carbs. And we're eating that, and I'm like, Dan, I grew up out here in the country in North Carolina. I had some pretty rugged aunts. And I was like, this is like it's like eating at my aunt's house, who's like a chain smoker. It's like going to her house and eating some rice over there. That's what this tastes like. And we called it cigarette rice. And to this day, if we're together and we're eating some rice, we gotta mention the cigarette rice. So we had this amazing bonding experience over a bad experience. And we'll laugh like, it was so bad, but we ate it, but it was so bad. I mean, it wasn't so bad that it was like gonna make us sick if we ate it, but it was bad. So we had this cigarette rice. And that's a good example of a camping experience that, we were struggling to get. And even though it wasn't like a good moment in that time, I think we might have laughed at the time. But even if it wasn't, what are the stories you tell when you go camping about how it poured rain and all the rain? We have one of those too, where water started dripping on our heads, and we packed it all up at midnight. That's what you tell. And this farmer was saying, oh, this guy's telling me I gotta go camping. And then he's like, oh, wait a minute. I don't need to go camping. I just need to have a farm. So he started a market farm, a dairy farm. And he's so right. We're out there every day. We have this goal. We have these obstacles. Whether you're overcoming obstacles, you're doing it together, or you're having victories, you're sharing that together, and that's an emotional abundance. And how do you put dollar bills on that? There's no emotional abundance in going to the grocery store together. I mean, maybe there is if there's some rare item and you guys are all hunting it down and you find it. It's not nearly the same. We supplement our homestead with some groceries. So we do have to still go to the grocery store. We grow a lot of our own meat and veggies, but we're getting bananas and apples and things like that. So we'll have these. Why was I going to tell that? We'll have these groceries come. Where was I going with that? This is emotional abundance. Oh, yeah. But before that, Whole Foods delivers now. Oh, my goodness. So talk about adding on to abundance. I mean, save us time, more money more time on the farm. I don't know if it saves us any money, but more time on the farm, more to put into the farm. So anyway, before that, though, we had to go to the grocery store. No, that was no emotional abundance. That was emotional nightmare. We'd all go to the grocery store together. It was terrible. We do have some slight good memories. Our cheap days, you want to know a cheap trick? We used to go to Earth Fair Kids Eat Free night. And my kid might be 6. This is when they were young. It works when they're young. The kid's 6 months old. He's a kid. So he gets this like full pizza. And I had 3 or 4 that were very young and wouldn't eat it all. So they'd all get the kids eat free. And like Henry, he'd probably still be nursing and if we were to go now. And that's how I did. I forgot to say that. That should be a good one to add to Frugal. We'd shop on Wednesday night. Why? Because that was kids eat free. We do our shopping, and I do have fond memories of that, even though it was the bottom of the pit financially at that time. And I was eating kids' food, kids' pizza, apple juice, fruit, and might get a pizza and a half because there may be 4 kids' plates. As the kids grow, that doesn't work anymore. But anyway, there's no emotional abundance in grocery shopping together at the store. It's just treachery. It's just treachery. Is that what? No, not treachery. It's just a mess. There is emotional abundance in growing food together. It's like going camping together. So, all right. I want you guys to take the next 39 hours, 37 hours. Don't take too long. There's not much time left. And think about this. Think about what we said. Think about how can you invest in yourself. Somebody just came through. Deanne, thank you for pledging the homestead builds. If you guys pledge right now, I will shout you out because I'm seeing it. Notifications pop up on my phone. So thanks, Deanne, if you're listening to this live show. So to do that, you just go to the link in the description. Maybe Ken can link it in the chat, or you can go to homesteadbuilds.com and it will direct you to it. So while you guys are doing that, I'll shout anybody out that does it. Um, right now, the carpentry class is coming out. I learned something from it, and then if you know nothing, not only are you going to learn how to do the carpentry skills necessary for these builds, you're going to have the carpentry skills that will apply to the rest of your homestead. That will be available. Here we go, Peggy. Thank you. She got the book, the $69 homestead book. Thank you, Peggy. You've got the instant chicken garden plant guide PDF. So we talked about building gardens and adding $400 in value in the planting, just one planting. Then, of course, all the plants, the different. This is the garden and the chicken structures of your farm. Over a dozen. This is actually 10% off retail. I'm going to sign the book. I'm going to sign these. Whoever does the Kickstarter, I will sign them. I will personally sign them. Love you so much and appreciate you so much. That's one of the least things I can do. Katie, thank you for pledging. I'm so excited. So many people have done this. Over 1,300 people have signed up for this thing. It's always a risk, and I think if it was up to Heather, my assistant, she would have us wait until we go to publish, because you never know what's going to happen with shipping prices. You never know what's going to happen with printing prices. But I'm like, well, but then we have to wait till like December 2024 before anybody gets any plans. But why? And why? Because we've already got 2 plans made. We're already like 20% done. Caitlin got the book. Cool. If you want a shout out and you've already gotten the book, put it in the chat and I'll shout you out. We'll hang out here for just a few seconds. Oh, Angie, the link to pledge is in the description. I hope so. Please tell me if it's not. If it's not, I'll update it as soon as we get off here. And if you don't find the link, go to homesteadbuilds.com. Okay, I would love to, but I don't have the money to do so. Yeah, think about, it might be hard. Think. You got 39 hours left. I challenge you to say, how could I get $35? The minimum one is $35. I bet you could do it. If you challenge your brain, how could I get $35 in 9 hours? You might need to watch some Ryan Trahan. He goes out, go drive an Uber. Go drive an Uber. Do an Uber Eats. You don't have people in your car. Go deliver some Uber Eats. I think anybody can just sign up to do that. That's 2 ideas I thought of just at the top of my head. Uber Eats, Uber. Oh, good. Deb just upgraded the pledge. I should say that because many of you guys are backers. You can upgrade, and you only have until Saturday 8 a.m. to upgrade, and then it's gone. Now, we'll do a launch when near printing time, but I can't say all this stuff will be in here. We got a lot of bonuses in here. Hey, Michaela, there you are. You just back. Cherie. Oh, cool. Cherie got the $197 level. That's the book, the physical book, the digital book, plus the courses. The carpentry course, which is worth that alone, that price. And then I'm going to do a course on a video version of the book. Guys, we don't just have the plans in the book. So like for the chicken tractor, for example, which are available now, you'll not only get the step-by-steps on how to build them, I'll give you in the book the different ways you can use the chicken tractor. Timothy, woo, Timothy, come into the farm. We're gonna meet. I'm gonna shake your hand. I'm gonna hug you. I'm gonna sign your book. We'll take a picture together. You're gonna come meet us, but you're gonna walk away with friends. Timothy got the tour for 2 level. Thank you, Timothy. So we're gonna be sitting down together and eating a farm to table dinner. And I will say something to you guys about that. It's a dinner for 2. It's a tour for 2. So 2 adults. If you want to hack it, you could 2 people. You could bring 1 adult and a child. It's fine. Somebody said, well, how do I bring 4? Well, then the other one of you has to sign up for a Kickstarter account and get it. But that's the point. It's supposed to be a more intimate event. We find out when we do this. People mingle more. They're not having to worry about where their kid's at. Michael pledged. He got the physical book. Thank you, Michael. I can't wait to sign your book, buddy. I'm gonna sign that book and get it to you. Thank you so much for doing that. But yeah, at that physical event, and I'll tell you this, Angie, we're probably not going to sell it out. I mean, maybe we will. It does have a limited number, and you never know. You crazy people like to wait to the last minute. It's funny when we launch something new, whether it's a show on Abundance Plus or a book like this in Kickstarter, and there's a limit. There's limited time. In this case, 30 days. We had an influx in the beginning. We met our goal in like 45 minutes, and then it just slows down. Should be going that way with it. And then jumps up again at the end. They're all the procrastinators. So, but anyway, thank you. Late or not. But anyway, what I was saying about the tour for two, it's going to be intimate. I don't think we're going to sell out. We could. I mean, you want to guarantee your spot by grabbing a ticket. It's the only way you can be sure. But it's going to be real intimate. So actually, that would be a plus for you, I think. That we won't sell out. We've sold a good number, so it might be that perfect number of not too much that you can't like meet everybody or at least get an idea of everybody, and not too little that it's awkward. We're already past the awkward spot. Like we're already able to get the food truck. We're gonna have grass-fed burgers here, probably tallow tots or fries. Fried in tallow like McDonald's used to do. Like, how long's it been since you had a healthy fry? Okay, we're gonna make that happen. Anyway, having too much fun with you guys. I should probably end it. You want to go to homesteadbuilds.com. Probably now you probably only got 38 hours. Homesteadbuilds.com or link down in the description. Love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting it. Means the world to me. This is a project near and dear to my heart, but it's gonna help so many people. We got a new backer, Aaron. He just got the physical book. I can't wait to sign your book, buddy. Yep, and I see DC46 did the 69. Maybe that's you, Aaron. Can't wait for the first download. Thank you, Justin. Love you. Love you too, Annabelle. Just pledged, smallholder homestead. Thank you. And Katrina, thank you. And Deb, thank you. Oh, and Angie, you got the book. Thank you so much. And Zach, he's got orchard and egg chickens. No, Catherine. Good. You're living the dreams. And blessings. Somebody said blessings. You gotta get your name, but thank you. Here, let me see it. I'll shout you. I don't know how to see that. There's a way to see it, but I can't. Oh, there you go. Smallholder Aaron. Yep. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Graham. I hope there's David. He just pledged. He got the course level. It was a good chat. Thank you for coming. I love to provide value. Hopefully you got that out of tonight. Thank you. If maybe you came here and you have no interest in the book Homestead Builds, thanks for putting up with that. We had a few pitches of that throughout, and I thank you for bearing with us through that. And we appreciate it. But hopefully there was enough free content that it made it worth it for you. I'm getting hungry talking about this food. I'm getting tired talking about all. I think my mouth is getting. Wonder if the doctor would approve of all this talking. 2 days after surgery. Okay, Shannon just got the book. Thank you. All right. I don't want to leave you guys. I don't want to leave. I don't want to miss one comment, but I've got to go. You guys got to go. It's Wednesday, y'all. How much work can we miss? All right. We'll see you. Love you. Talk to you later.